Happy Friday. So today this video is going to be about the difference between a vertical mill and a vertical shredder. So we've talked about it briefly in the past, but I want to make another video to discuss that a little bit better. So this here behind me is a vertical mill. Obviously this is the belt guard, which has to go over here, and it doesn't have the motor mounted on it yet. But this mill here, and I can't show you the inside, but I can show you what the plates on the inside look like. So this is the wear plates, and they're jagged in one way and then jagged in the other way, so you can flip them and rotate them. There's two rows of that on the inside, and this here replaces a granulator in many ways. So the material comes in through the top hopper, and the material spins inside and gets thrown against the outside walls. In many ways, it delaminates the material, so it's a delamination mill, and it pulls the separates the material from each other. So this is a high speed. The tips are going at very high speed, and this is not a mill where you can drop in heavy pieces. So you couldn't drop meatballs in this mill. You couldn't drop whole computers in it, that kind of stuff. So it's a lot more of a high-speed mill, more for finishing. Not quite turbo mill finishing, but it is for finishing material, and to get it closer to that separation point. So the next mill I'm going to show you is the vertical shredder. Now the vertical shredder can handle meatballs. You can take meatballs and drop that in there. In our plant here, we run it first through the horizontal mill, and then through the vertical mill after. So I'll show you that right here. So this here is the vertical shredder, and before going to the vertical shredder, it goes through the horizontal mill, and then what we do here is the magnet pulls off the steel, and we only run the steel through this mill. And the reason we do that is the material at the magnet separates all the non-ferrous. So the non-ferrous coming out from this magnet behind me, the non-ferrous continues down this conveyor all the way up to the eddy current and the downstream. Whereas the ferrous switches over. The ferrous oftentimes still has some copper trapped in it. So this here is the vertical shredder. It can handle steel. If a meatball or something big were to fall through the grates, it can go through this mill. This mill has a series of hammers and rings in it as it goes down, and it's got a breaker bar on the top. So if you had something big, a computer tower or something that would go on the top, those breaker bars up top would crush it, make it into small pieces, and then it would fall down. So from here, we go through another magnet, and the magnet pulls out, the steel goes up to the top, and then the non-ferrous goes back over to that side and rejoins the non-ferrous from the original mill. So this is probably the most in-depth tour of this plant that I've given so far. And then over here we have the eddy current. So what this does is it gives us a product like this. So this is from some auto harness, really dirty auto harness that we ran through, and we pulled out with this. We pulled out all the Zorba from it, and that makes a really good feedstock for plant 2, which has a vertical mill in it. So in plant 2 we have the vertical mill, the higher speed mill, and so it goes from that form there into the vertical mill. The vertical mill breaks it down, and I have some of our customers that use only the vertical mill. They don't go to a turbo mill. It's a little bit different configuration, as far as speed and blades go, but and you do reduce your throughput just a little bit, but you can, depending on what you're running, go with just the mill. No need for a turbo mill. Go that route as well. All right, so I'm going to show you what it looks like after it goes through the vertical mill. So I had him put some. He's got some here on a little pile, and this material has not gone through the turbo mill or the air separator. It's just on the ground here. So gives you a good idea. You saw how clumpy everything else was. So when we run it through the shredder, before we run it onto this line, I mean, it looks like this. Is that material kind of clumpy? And once it goes through the vertical, and then we can control that. So in this application, we have the turbo mill, so I don't have it in the highest configuration, but you can see here how small the vertical gets it. From there we're going to go to the turbo mill, but if I had my vertical mill in the configuration, in the tighter configuration, we could get that material all rolled over and then liberated. So anyways, like, comment, subscribe. If you got any questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll catch you in the next one. Happy Friday.